Okay, done on YouTube. We are on YouTube now. Hare Krishna. And very quickly, we'll do a quick prayers. All of us, please. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Mahavishnu Goswami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisthiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai Shri Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai Shri Gurudev ki jai Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna. So nice to see all of you. And Auckland is also under lockdown now again. This is our third lockdown, I think, during the COVID. It is so funny when actually the first lockdown happened in March last year, and we are approaching March, and we are again in lockdown. So from 4 we came to 2. So and it is funny that we have got the enemy, so-called enemy, which is so tiny, so insignificant. And we are so big, with all these big medical scientific discoveries. No doubt, they're very nice discoveries. There is no doubt about it. All credits go to them. But still, we have not conquered everything. And the best way to safeguard ourselves from that small, insignificant living being who cannot even move by itself, huh? Cannot even walk, cannot even talk, cannot even, I mean, they may be talking in their own ways, but they cannot move. We have to go and sit in our home. They are outside. I can't get over this, for good reasons, whatever is the reason is, but I can't get over this. I mean, it's a different thing if you've got an enemy which is zooming around outside, and you cannot, you will be crushed if you go in front of them. You can crush that living being. Anyway, okay. So today we are discussing a much serious subject. The subject is about how as soon as one has material desires, one loses his spiritual identity. So, to understand this particular verse, I want to speak about things where what happens if we give up our material desires in our own mind, then what happens? You see, so even all of us who are very new to Krishna consciousness, and we have got our own, you must have heard a lot of things about we must control our senses, so then this happens, if we don't control, that happens, whatever happens. So I want us to concentrate today, start off with this discussion. If we if we are constantly living on the mental and the sensual platform, we lose our spiritual identity. Now, what does this mean, spiritual identity? What is the meaning of this spiritual identity that we will lose? See, we are living in this material world. I've got this material body, you have this material body. So we are enjoying and suffering in this material body. It is said here that if you engage in all activities of the senses and keep dwelling on it, the mind, then you will lose your spiritual identity. So what is this spiritual identity? One definition is Jivera Swarupa Hoye Nityara Krishna Das, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. That is the original spiritual identity as eternally servant of Krishna. This is a broad-based blanket information for all living beings. Human beings, cats and dogs, birds, beasts, including, if we like it or not, living beings who are taken the body of coronavirus also. See how broad-based the Vedic literature is. We don't discriminate in such things. This is Bhagavad Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. You see? Coronavirus is living his own life. He won't even know that he's killing anybody. Like we don't even know that when we are breathing also we are killing. Is it not so? Can anybody dispute this? Am I right? When we breathe, we kill. When we let fire to cook our food, we kill so many germs. I was doing some work in the garden today, and there are so many, ants and all that. If you stop taking care of them, of course you take care of them. But so many living beings are dead inside. When you're planting your seeds, you're killing them. So what is wrong if coronavirus doesn't even know that it's killing you? He's just surviving. That's what he does. Is it not so? How does he become your enemy? He's killing your body. Similarly, we as human beings or living beings are also killers of so many bodies. Is it not so? Is it not so? Tell me, which literature talks about this broad-based thinking? No literature, really, except for Srimad Bhagavatam. They do not talk about these things. It's not possible. They don't do such things. Only and only the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita talks about this broad-based understanding that we as human beings also are killers. And you'll be surprised to know that when Krishna was present on earth, even he used to perform every day those ritualistic activities whereby, as and when other living beings were killed and dead, like cooking, when you lit fire, you cook. And as you lit fire, you cook, you kill so many germs also. Even if you're vegetarian, it kills. So to satisfy them, you require to perform so many engagements. That is the reason why when in India, or any person who's following Vedic religion, when they buy a new house, they have a Griha Shanti, and in that also there is a process whereby all the living beings who must be killed to make way for constructing our house, we have to beg for forgiveness for them also. And that is what they do, the Shanta process. And in this Kali Yuga, it is a Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Chanting of this Mahamantra is a samam bonam, is what is needed. Nothing more is needed to satisfy all living beings, including yourself. So, going back to the discussion, what happens if we control our senses? This is mentioned in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 10, verse number 9. I'll try and see if I can give you the show here. Okay, all right, here we go. Vinmuchyati yada kaman manavo manasi sthitan tarhi eva pundrikaksha bhagavatvaya kalpate. The word synonyms, translations, and purports by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please listen very carefully. Vimuchyati, gives up. Yada, whenever. Kaman, all material desires. Manavaha, human society. So let's talk about human society, not individual also. So individual is part of the human society. So that is the reason why when individual person is mentioned, is addressed to, the society is also addressed. Then manasi, within the mind. Manaha means mind. Manasi means inside the mind, within the mind. Sthitan, situated. Tarahi, at that time only. Eva, indeed. Pundarik Aksha, O lotus-eyed Lord. Bhagavatavaya, to be equally as opulent as the Lord. Kalpate, becomes eligible. So, gives up whenever all material desires, human society, within the mind, situated at that time only, indeed, O lotus-eyed Lord, to be equally as opulent becomes eligible. So this is a very important word here. Bhagavatavaya, to be equally as opulent as the Lord. This is the position of the person who gives up his material desires in the service, to be engaged in the service of Krishna. Let's go to translation. Now we got broad understanding about this verse, what it is about. Let's go to translation now. O my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all the material desires in his mind, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. Oh. Yeah. Most of the desires that we have got are regarding wealth, opposite sex, and opulence. Am I right? Am I right? Yes. And here Bhagavatam says that one who has given up his material desires in the mind, that person, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours, means like Krishna's. Let's come to the purport now. Atheistic men sometimes criticize a devotee by saying, if you do not want to take any benediction from the Lord, and if the servant of the Lord is as opulent as the Lord himself, why do you ask for the benediction of being engaged in the Lord's servant, to be engaged as a Lord's servant? See, two things I've asked here. Atheistic people, they say, well, if you don't want to take any benediction from the Lord, first thing, we don't ask anything from the Lord, right? First point. Second, and if the servant of the Lord is as opulent as the Lord himself, okay, then why do you ask for the benediction of being engaged in Lord's servant, to be Lord's servant? If you don't want to ask anything, but you still get everything, as equal and opulent as the Lord, why do you want to become his servant? Because you are as equal as him. See, atheistic people or even spiritualistic or philosophers who do not have the touch of devotion to Krishna, they ask these kind of questions. First, you do service, you don't want anything back in return. Still you get things in return to be as opulent as the Lord. As it is, you get it. But then why do you ask to become servant of the Lord then? Because your Lord is himself as opulent as the Lord. Is it not so? Technically they are right. You are as good as the Lord, but still there's a difference. Now this is mentioned by Sridhar Swami. He comments, Bhagavatavaya Bhagavat Saman Aishwaryaya Bhagavatva means becoming as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not mean becoming one with him or equal to him. This is very important. This is what they don't understand. Those who are not devotees, that means including those philosophers, ordinary people, and including those Mayavad philosophers, followers of Srimad Shankaracharya. Although in the spiritual world, the servant is equally as opulent as the master. The servant of the Lord is engaged in the service of the Lord as a servant, friend, father, mother, or a conjugal lover. You know what is the meaning of conjugal lover? All of whom are equally as opulent as the Lord. What is the meaning of conjugal lover? What is the meaning of it? Anybody knows? It's okay. New devotees also. You can throw in.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Parth.
Oh, is it Parakiya Bhav?
What is Parakiya Bhav?
Like you're not married, but then
That's a bit too high. Yeah, that's
uh,
right. Conjugal love means love, like you have got I love you, you love me business. I love you, you love me. Same, I love you, you love me. It's called conjugal love. Yeah, that's the point to be understood that. So, all of whom are equally as opulent as the Lord. So, even a servant of the Lord is equally as opulent of the Lord as the Lord. How do you understand this? How can you say that a servant is equally as opulent as the Lord, as the master? But answer is true. I tell you, I tell you. If you are serving a boss very nicely, the boss treats you very nicely, automatically the staff will say he is very close to the boss. He also has got a lot of authority. Boss will say, you do this for me. So you go and do this, right? Is it not so? Yeah. Similarly, according to the levels of the bosses, the servant's opulence also increases. Similarly, if that boss also has a boss in the organization or in business, now his servant would be higher than you, his position, because his boss is more powerful. Simple. We don't have to think so hard. This is logical. So when it is concerning God or Krishna, when he's the supreme personality of Godhead, his servant automatically has all the powers. And in the spiritual world, there is no duality. Of course, Krishna always remains Krishna. But even his servants are very powerful, extremely powerful. And it is because of the curse given by one of the friends of Krishna. That is the reason why Radharani and Krishna had to separate when they came to Vrindavan for the earthly pastimes in India. There was 100 years of separation. Otherwise, Radha and Krishna cannot be separate. It's because to honor the curse given by his friend. Another story. There's a pastime in Golok Vrindavan. You see, the life here that we're living is also life existing in spiritual world, in the topmost planet called Golok Vrindavan. There also life exists. And when one of the servants of Radharani did not allow Krishna and his friends to come in, that's when Krishna's servant cursed them. So powerful, they had to come down like this. But nothing, you should understand one thing, nothing is out of the control of Krishna. Everything is planned by Krishna. That is one concept when we talk about how one's desires can be dovetailed with the desires of the Lord. It is this, that the heart of the devotee becomes the heart of the Lord. They think the same. They think the same. And we can see that in material world also. Same in I love you, you love me business, it happens. The boy and the girl, they think the same, think of each other. Not only that, you'll be surprised to know, even in material life, in the jobs also it happens. I remember, I've got so much experience on this. It seems that I'm a very old man, with so much experience. I'll tell you, you'll be surprised to know one thing. Many moons ago, when I was to work for a logistics company in India, we had branches all around in different states and cities and villages in India. So I remember I was in the head office. I joined new at the time, and we were formulating a strategy with the board, my managing director. So we wanted to go ahead with this strategy, this very good strategy. And he said, see, we are thinking here like this. I can tell you with certainty, we will receive a message from this so-and-so person who's based in Bangalore. At the time, there was no mobile phone and all that, You had to make a phone call, trunk call was costing high. He said, he will know. He said he will know and he will write to us about this. I said, particularly I was 20, 23, 24 at the time, I was got a very high position very quickly then. I said, yeah. And believe you me, next day, we have a courier business, no? So courier, he wrote today, tomorrow morning, came by the plane, delivered to us on our desk. My desk as vice president, his desk as managing director. He said exactly what we were talking. How do you beat this? How do you beat this? Very nice guy. So it proved two things. That when you are sincerely attached with a person or an organization or thinking, then you can have the same thinking. Even second thing is that you don't have to be close physically to each other. You can be far apart but think the same. Even in this material world. Have you had any such experience, any of you? Some of you are very experienced as well. You've seen like this in your life? This was so practical for me. This guy wrote. And when I met him, we gelled immediately, because our motive was the same, objective was the same, always. So, this is the point to be understood, that at that point in time, the heart of the Lord, there's a meaning of simultaneous difference from the Supreme Lord and oneness with Him. Achinta Bheda Ved Tattva. The master and the servant are different, yet equal in opulence. Why? Because their thinking is the same. Love is the same. Yeah? So here we're discussing that, oh my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all material desires in his mind, Manasi, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. But that wealth and opulence is spiritual. And the verse before that is a verse which is relevant for today's discussion, which says that 7:10, 8. Yeah, that's right. Hold on. I'll quickly give you that reference too. Here, we're talking about this, that Indriyani manah prana atma dharmo dhritir matihi hrihi shri tejah smrutihi satyam yasya nashyanti janmana. So here it is said, Indriyani, the senses, Manaha, the mind. See, the previous word mentioned Manasi means inside the mind. Here it is saying Manaha means the mind. Okay, there is no where it is, what it is. It is the mind. Then Pranaha, the life air. We have got Prananath. If you watch old Bollywood movies, there's a Prananath, oh my lover, my conqueror, the owner of my life air. Actually, Prananath is Krishna. We don't understand that, Then Atma, the body. Dharma, religion. Dhrutihi, patience. Matihi, intelligence. Now we say, no, Mati Mari gayi thi. My intelligence was lost. Matihi, intelligence. Hrihi, shyness. Shrihi, opulence. Tejaha, strength. Smritihi, memory. Satyam, truthfulness. Yasya, of which lusty desires, nashyanti, are vanquished. Janmana, from the very beginning of birth. So it's a very interesting verse. There's a very interesting statement here. We'll dwell in this. See this. So the senses, the mind, the life air, the body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, truthfulness, of which lusty desires are vanquished from the very beginning of birth. This is very interesting, from the very beginning of birth. So this particular verse would talk about something if we have or if we do from the very beginning of the birth, something happens. Let's see what it means. Translation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, the functions of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are vanquished. What do you mean by this particular translation? Tell me. It is a revolutionary translation. Please share with me. What do you understand by this translation? Anyone, please? Yeah. Oh my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, the functions of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are vanquished. It means those living beings from the very beginning of one's life, if they have got some less desires or desires which are controlled, yeah, they will not lose so much of their senses. They can be able to control their mind. Their life may be regulated and peaceful. Their body must be all right. Their sense of religion would give them and take them back to Krishna. They may be patient people, patience. They have patience. They are intelligent people. Not, I'm talking about education was intelligent only, or making money intelligence. Making money intelligence is foolishness of the Kali Yuga. Even bulls can make money. Even donkeys can make money. That is not important. We have got wrong concept of intelligence. He must be very intelligent because he is very rich. Foolish people. Intelligence meaning one has to introspect how much he has surrendered unto Krishna, how much he understands the nitty-gritties of devotional service and material life. Now, shyness. That means those who do not have their desires controlled, they are more shy. So nowadays when you see people not shy, both men and women, that's because they have lusty desires from the very beginning. Not something good. Everything is bold is very good. Foolish. Then opulence. They are opulent people. That is different from richness. Opulence is different to rich. Then strength. Strength does not only mean strength of bodily strength, fighting strength. No, not just that. Not just that. We're not talking about that at all. Then memory, remembrance, and truthfulness. They are all vanquished. This is the meaning of this particular verse. How dynamic is this verse? Now, from the beginning, everybody is lusty. Everybody, unless they have got controlled senses or people who can teach them how to control their senses. But still, there are those who carry this from their previous life. And they may not have all these qualities in them. They may have only some of them, but you can still see them. You can still see them. And you'll be attracted to them and those qualities, which is different. Okay, let's come to the purport. It's a very beautiful purport. Prabhupada is giving. So here, Prabhupada is saying that as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kamam Rudra Rogam, the materialistic life means that one is afflicted by a formidable disease called lusty desire. Lusty does not mean only sex. It means about monetary also. It means about name and fame also. It means anything which takes us away from our service to Krishna. A Vaishnava person, a Vaishnava doesn't have envy. Please understand one thing. Vaishnava doesn't have envy. And because he does not have envy, he doesn't have lust. In a Vaishnava assembly of Vaishnavas, one quality is needed. There should be no enviness between each other. Moment there is enviness, that assembly is not a Vaishnava assembly. This is the litmus test. Moment there is envy, it's finished. Of course, it is not easy to keep envy out in this material world. Because false ego will always step in, no matter how much you think you're advanced. How much I think I'm advanced. I am a victim of false ego. Only and only when we are in the stage of transcendence, where the three modes of material nature, we are not affected, will we be able to control the envy. And how to go about the three modes of material nature is this whole process of Krishna consciousness. So if we are transcendental, then all these qualities that are being displayed here, those qualities we will not have. Or we will have, rather. Sorry, we will not have. What is those qualities? One's senses, the functions, one's senses will be running amok. One's mind will be uncontrolled. One's life will be irregular. One's body will not be in line with the mind. You see, before we come to this big philosophy, we have to really, really understand that as long as, we will be peaceful when our body is aligned with our mind and the senses. Now, most of the time, the senses, the mind and the body are aligned in sense gratification. And that is the reason why they all are working in different directions. Although they all want to enjoy senses. Enjoy. Mind wants to do the same, senses want to do the same, the body wants to do the same. But it is not compatible. That's all these three are in three different directions. This is most of the time people are very upset. They don't know what they are doing. They are victims of their own body, mind, and senses. Most of the people. That is why an adhira person, an intelligent person who lives life according to Srimad Bhagavatam, sees this situation and tolerates this material world. Because he has a very clear goal in his mind. Jivara Swarupo Nitya Krishna Das. By controlling all these things, I will be able to acquire my spiritual identity And that spiritual identity is my relationship with Krishna, which will automatically give me opulences and wealth, spiritual wealth. And this is possible by a person where all the mind, the body, and the senses are in line. It is possible only by that person who is trying and working hard to align it with the spirit soul, the needs of the spirit soul, not the needs of the mind, not the needs of the body, not the needs of the senses, although they want the same thing. Why they don't work? Why? Although they want the same thing, they are not compatible. The answer is this, that the senses are working and acquiring and enjoying. The body is a victim of the senses. Whereas the mind is capturing all the sensual activities and information from the senses, which they are giving right now, but the mind is also interacting and calculating of the present sense interaction with the matter and the past sense interaction with the matter and the past lives sense interaction with the matter and past lives. So it's a very complicated process of the mind which goes on in interaction. So that is the reason why the body is helpless when the mind is interacting with the senses. Body is used for that. And the senses are present tense senses enjoying, and the mind is talking about present, past, future, not future, present but past. All this is done. So only and only when we talk about the senses are utilized by the mind using its differentiation in intelligence factor to engage and find out the existence of spirit soul inside the body, and then we align our senses and our mind, try as much as possible in this using of the senses and the mind to the spiritual platform as per the needs of the spirit soul, then we are okay. Because the spirit soul's body is different, spirit soul's food is different, spirit soul's enjoyment is different to that of the body. We understand this point, right? So let's come and discuss this purport here. I wanted to read this purport today very quickly. Prabhupada says that as said in Srimad Bhāgavatam, Kamam Ruda Rogam. Materialistic life means that one is afflicted by a formidable disease called lusty desire. Liberation means freedom from lusty desires. Because it is only due to such desires that one must accept repeated birth and death. As long as we have got any desire, we will have to take another body, material desire, any kind. We will have to take another material body. So instead of becoming desireless, one has to have spiritual desires. It will be explained here. As long as one's lusty desires are unfulfilled, one must take birth after birth to fulfill them. Now, it's not that once you fulfill the desires are stopped. No, it will increase in the material world. You will need more and more. So you are in the web, you're caught in the web of your own desires, satisfying those desires. Okay. Because of material desires, therefore, one performs various types of activities and various types of bodies with which to try to fulfill desires that are never satisfied. Here it is. They're never satisfied. The only remedy is to take to devotional service or bhakti yoga, which begins when one is free from all material desires. Anya Bhilashita Shunyam. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 11. Anya Bhilashita means material desires. No, material desires. And Shunyam meaning free from. The spiritual soul has spiritual activities and spiritual desires, as described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad bhaktir ahaituki tvai. This is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, chapter 20, verse 29, Shikshastaka 4. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service or bhakti to you. This is very advanced stage. Very advanced stage. Unalloyed devotion to the service of the Lord is the only spiritual desire. That's it. There is no other spiritual desire. Remember one thing. Even if you try to find from wherever any other answer, those answers are wrong. This is the only answer. Spiritual desire means doing service to Krishna. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. Only desire to serve Krishna either as a servant or as a parent or as a friend or neutral or as a conjugal lover. 5 positive. The negatives also of being enemies too. But we don't concentrate upon that. To fulfill this spiritual desire, however, one must be free from all material desires. Now, desirelessness means freedom from material desires. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as Anya Bhilashita Shunyam. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. As soon as one has material desires, one loses his spiritual identity. This is the point of our discussion. This is how we got topic name. As soon as one has material desires, one loses his spiritual identity. Because we are established in our spiritual identity serving Krishna. Moment we have material desires, we are away from that, our service. And we are trying to satisfy our own self. That is the point, instead of satisfying Krishna. Then all the paraphernalia of one's life, including one's senses, body, religion, patience, and intelligence, are deviated from one's original Krishna consciousness. As soon as one has material desires, one cannot properly use his senses, intelligence, and mind, and so on, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mayavadi philosophers want to become impersonal, senseless, and mindless. But that is not possible. The living entity must be living, always existing with desires, ambitions, and so on. These should be purified, however, so that one can desire spiritually and be spiritually ambitious without material contamination. In every living entity, these propensities exist because he's a living entity. Living means life. So it has to have all these activities. When materially contaminated, however, one is put into the hands of material misery. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 verse 9. If one wants to stop repeated birth and death, one must take to the devotional service of the Lord. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam Rishikesha Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. This from Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 19, verse 170. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are 2 side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, one's senses are purified. These 2 things happen. One is free from the designations, and his senses are purified.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, it's a slightly trivial question, but just that how do you differentiate how do I identify a material desire? Because sometimes, like, I have this thing, like right now I'm in my college and everybody around me is preparing for placements and whatnot. So sometimes I get very overwhelmed with this. I shared this thing with Avinash Prabhu as well, that I get very worried about this. But then I think, then I'm very conflicted about whether or not this is a material desire. But then I think that my mother knows that I'm performing devotional service. So if I don't do this perfectly, she might think that I am not focusing on my studies enough because I'm doing devotional service. And then my mind gets very conflicted about this. I know it's a very trivial question, but I still
No, 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 no. It's not trivial. It's not. It's a very important question. Okay, it's a very good question, and all of us have this question. So it's very relevant to everybody. The thing is, I will explain to you one concept, the spiritual concept, which may be new to you. That will answer your question and give you peace. And this is called Yukta Vairagya. That means whatever we have got, anything, we use it for Krishna. So if you have got desire to become, good education, good job, good husband, or whatever it is, family, or good career, in material life, nobody desires bad education, bad job, bad family. Nobody desires this. They all desire good. Okay? So do not be conflicted from having self-preservation desires as material desires. Greed will come later. What we are discussing here is that there is some amount of satisfaction. We should be satisfied with certain things. That does not mean you should not aim to be CEO of an organization. Or that does not mean that you aim to be a poor person all the time. Voluntarily, you're a poor person. Of course you can. That comes at a very advanced stage when you give up things. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was not poor. He did not live in one apartment. He was the ruler of the whole earth. So was Arjuna. Lord Ram ruled through Ayodhya the whole world. Okay? So understand this. There is no harm, but there's one thing. The thing is this, that the outcome, we have got the right and we have got the ownership of actions to be performed. But the result of that action is in the hands of God or Krishna. When we understand that, then we are at peace. So what happens is that devotees also, when they are in action mode, when they are performing, when they want to achieve certain things, they are achieving with full force. They give all their energy to achieving their goals. Otherwise, I'm myself an MBA. My wife is a chartered accountant. We don't become like this just like that. So we've got engineers. My son is just finished graduation. Avinash Prabhu's daughter is also an engineer. Son, he himself is an engineer himself. So we have to understand this, very important. You are very lucky that at this early age you can understand this. So you can attain, you'll be able to achieve high, materially also very big opulence. I can tell you, you youngsters, that as long as when you are performing our tasks, the means are in our hands, studying, giving it the best shot, or whatever we call it, preparing the best for the interview or giving the best examination. But the results of it is not in your hands, it is in Krishna's hand. When people don't know this, they are distressed. People are knowing this, they are happy. There's a relationship with Krishna. And two things happen. One is this, they're happy. And second thing is this, they know that in my hands is only to perform the best. So I have to give my 100%, 200%. That is what is advantage which others don't have and devotees have. So when we understand this point, we'll be very, very focused on performing the best. After performance, examination done, interview done, results are up to Krishna. We are happy. So what happens? Three things happen. The third thing happens is this, that if you are not successful, you are not depressed. You're back in action again, giving your full steam, and you're success again. Do you understand this? I'll give you a practical example of it. Again, I'm in my work life. Again, it seems I'm a very old man, I've given this example many times. I remember when I was working in another company, I left it. But I was a blue-eyed boy of our CEO and the director and all that, I made a lot of money for them. Plenty of money. Heaps of money. So I had a lot of, we discussed about the servant of the boss. He's also a big boss, so I was a big boss there, I was heading their Bombay operations. So I left it. He didn't like it. He was very disturbed. I said, I'm going to New Zealand, So I left to New Zealand. So why are you going to New Zealand? A spiritual life. I told him, I couldn't believe it. He said, you can do anything, he told me, But anyway, after some years, I went back again to India, met him, just my routine. He said, tell me one thing, Ambarish. I said, yes. You are in this line of this. I said, yes. What do you want? So I have a question for you. I said, okay. He said, I'm a millionaire. He said, he was a millionaire, a very well-known person. He's no more anymore, young man. He died young, very young he died, unfortunately. A very well-known person. He said to me, I'm a millionaire. How do I become billionaire? You tell me. This was his question. So I thought, sitting in front of him in his office, plush office, I said, well, I know he likes me. I know I made a lot of money for him. But how can I answer this question? Because I'm not a billionaire myself. Is it not so? So most of the time, the consultants are those people who will borrow your watch to tell you your time. They are themselves not what they are talking about, but they will give you all the gnan, foolish people. So be very careful of these experts, They have their own vocabulary and all that. So because I was in this, I told him, mate, I said, boss, you're asking the wrong person, You can employ a lot of people who can give you this answer. Why are you asking me how to become billionaire? He said, no. You tell me. I still told him, no, you've got so many consultants you can borrow, hire, and do these things. He said, no, I want to hear from you only. I said, all right, more than this, and he get upset, I said, all right. So this, what I just told you now, what I told you now is what I told him at the time. I said, see that, my boss, the thing is, you're a millionaire and you do a project. So you are attached to the project in the way that you want to make it a success. But the results are not in your hands. So when the results are not in your hands, when it is a failure, you'll be depressed or you'll lose patience, you'll lose your hope. So your next attempt would be a little bit lower. Or next project, you'll be not very, this thing. You will not be very enthusiastic. But if you know that only actions that you're performing is in your hands, results are not in your hands, it's in the hands of somebody else, higher authorities, higher power, then you'll be able to do many tasks, many projects, and that way you'll become a billionaire. This is what I told him. This Bhagavad Gita concept. And I do not know Bhagavad Gita. I'm a student, ABCD student of Bhagavad Gita. But you got this. You saw the practical aspect of things? You understand this? So there's no harm if you want to achieve your things. Please achieve. You should bring stress, you should. But then after giving, you should not be stressed. So if you're feeling stressed, it is natural to feel stressed. Then you take out the chanting beads. Or if you don't have chanting beads, just chant Hare Krishna mantra. That's it, Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you don't have chanting beads, we'll send you from here, no problem. Have chanting beads and do your japa, okay? Do your round nicely, peacefully. After 10 minutes, you'll be at ease. And then you can focus upon things. Is it all right?
Yes, absolutely.
Good, that's fine. Wonderful. Yes, I think I just finished the class as well. One is free from material desires, and simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, one's senses are purified. I'll repeat this translation again. Bhakti or devotional service means, sorry, I'll just share this again. These are one of the definitions of bhakti. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tat paratpena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all the senses, Rishikesh. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, one's senses are purified. These two things happen. Jai. So with this is what we conclude our discussion today, that if we have got material desires, we lose our spiritual identity. So my Lord, because of lusty desires, from the very beginning of one's birth, the function of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are vanquished. And we discussed in the very next verse that my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all the material desires in his mind, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. Hare Krishna. Now, does anyone have any questions, please? Of course, you had a question, Divyanshu. Thank you very much. Or anything to say, please feel free.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Thank you for a nice and very practical class, giving a lot of practical solutions to youngsters.
It is for my benefit only.
So, no Prabhu. We also have this conversation yesterday also, and Vivansi was very frantically asking this same question. She has to finish 6 months course in 2 months, and she has to pay full fees, and she's running around, and COVID and all those things all around her. So I told her that you have trained me and all those things, and yeah. But one thing I added, Prabhu, into what you just said, and that is actually perfect. And I just want to clarify, because Vivansi was also there, is about for us to last in devotional service, we need association. Association of devotees. And I was insisting that somehow or other we must associate with devotees, otherwise we lose focus. And that's where actually we get energy and motivation.
Yes, that is absolutely right.
That's what I told her. And now on this verse, Prabhuji, that number 8.
Association of the right devotees now.
Yes,
Because
yes.
anyone, it's a whole wide world, you know. Very confusing.
Yes, I did say that Google and YouTube perfect. If you can extract knowledge from it, but you cannot get a personal association like one-on-one thing which you can. So she appreciated, and they all appreciate it. Now, Prabhuji, is this number 8 verse where Bhagavatam is very precise about giving what happens when we have lusty desires. Exact. There is no if, but, and all anything like that. Very clear. But my question is, Prabhu, is that is there a relative situation into this? Means somebody have strong lusty desire, somebody have little lusty desire, and somebody have very little lusty desire. Lusty desire can be to even devotees, like people like me who are actually practicing concept. We also get into this. So this output is also relative, or it's same?
Yes, output is relative. As Lord Krishna says, as one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. So that's why I said in this that if somebody may be able to control a little bit, you will see them a bit more intelligent, spiritual, more peaceful than others. They may show some qualities, not all, and some quality in different proportions. So that is why we all have, unless and until we are sufficiently purified, as I was mentioning, and we are transcended about three modes of material nature, we are going to have lusty desires, ego, envy will come in. So that is the reason why a devotee who is himself struggling or himself knows, a devotee knows that everybody struggles in this. So they overlook certain things. That's bound to happen. And especially when we are above the lusty desires, if we are a little bit above this situation like other ordinary people, then it becomes more difficult because you tolerate all the time everyone around you. Because people, as you know, in preaching, especially it is the case. Everybody wants things from you, you're giving it free, so they want it, they want it, they want it. They go away and they'll accuse you only at the end of it. They'll learn from you, they'll accuse you, and they'll go away. So one has to be very patient in this. One has to be extremely patient and forgiving. You can be forgiving when our sadhana is very perfect. That focus should not go away from Krishna. That at every stage one has to perfect this point. Is it okay? Yes, thank you. Anybody else wants to say anything before I conclude today's discussion, the first session? Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaurchandra Bhagwan ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaurchandra Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. So now we conclude the first session. Now the second class will begin, and those of you who are joining us on YouTube, we will have to disconnect you for a few seconds, and we'll give you a new link to join, because otherwise both the class will be going in one session, and that's not right. We promote two separate YouTube recordings and savings also. So I'm going to disconnect now. Please be around. We'll give you the link straight away in few minutes time. Thank you very much. Krishna, can you sing Jai Radha Madhava in the meantime?